I think they need to focus on strategies that involve actually making people's lives better. But at the end of the day, look, the American people are constantly speaking up. We had the recall election of Chesa Boudin this week. That is significant. If you have lost San Francisco because you've gone too far to the left, oh, you're going to wait and see what's going to happen in the midterms.
Let me just get your overall reaction and your feelings about this televised hearing we saw last night regarding January 6th. What do you think?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, the American people are not as fixated on this as the media and as Democrats are desperately trying to make them become. At the end of the day, you've got mothers who are struggling to find baby formula for their child. You've got people who are struggling to put gas in the car because of how expensive it is. Inflation is absolutely through the roof. And then, of course, you've got a crime problem that is still not under control. I understand why they want to do a primetime address, because they know that the media overwhelmingly will be covering this. And I'm sure that they'll point to the ratings and say, look, the ratings are good. But at the end of the day, when it's on virtually every single channel, yeah, you're going to get an uptick in ratings. But the problem is the American people, they know that this is not top of mind because it's not top of mind, because they've got other issues that are directly impacting their everyday lives, making their everyday lives much more difficult. So they can go ahead. I know they're going to do more of these hearings. I just don't think they're going to have the impact that folks on the left want us to believe it will.
I think just the general strategy of looking back, a year and a half or however long January 6th was now, as opposed to looking at the present, just doesn't work. In fact, it's in many respects a distraction strategy from what's actually going on in the present tense right now in the United States.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's not really going to distract for maybe a couple hours when people are trying to tune in the future hearings on those nights. Like, why is this? Why are we doing this again? Democracy was not in danger. Let's stop this nonsense. What's happening every day to the American people is what they're paying attention to. And it's hard to distract when you go to the grocery store and you're paying $75 more for the same exact items you purchased a year ago. It is too much for the Democrats to overcome. I think they need to focus on strategies that involve actually making people's lives better. But at the end of the day, look, the American people are constantly speaking up. We had the recall election of Chesa Boudin this week. That is significant. If you have lost San Francisco because you've gone too far to the left, oh, you're going to wait and see what's going to happen in the midterms.
Yeah, to the extent that Democrats constantly find fodder in Donald Trump's behavior over the course of his presidency, I think the person who expressed this so well was Selena Zito. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a reporter for the Washington Examiner. But she had this quote that always sticks in my mind. It is that Donald Trump supporters take him seriously, but not literally, because of the way he speaks, this sort of freelance way that he speaks, whereas Democrats take him very literally, but not seriously. And that explains so much of why they're constantly delving into what he said. So I think that explains so much of the hearing. I want to get your reaction to the protests outside of Kavanaugh's home, literally less than 24 hours after a would-be assassin tried to take him out. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know how many people even are aware of what happened. When you look at the New York Times yesterday, they barely covered it. It was put on, A20? If this happened outside of Kagan, a Sotomayor's home, God forbid, that would be a lead story. It probably would have pushed the hearing till next week because of how serious it is. And it is incredibly serious. When you've got the rhetoric on the left telling folks that when Roe v. Wade is overturned, we're going to go to a handmaid's tale. Well, guess what? People are going to take that seriously. When you are fed this diet nonstop of that kind of language, it's going to inspire some folks to maybe act out in this way. Now, I'm not someone who believes that general criticism and fair criticism and even biting criticism should be off limits, that it will lead to crazy people potentially doing crazy things. But I do think that there's some time to step back and reflect on some of the fear-mongering that's going on, and frankly, some of the lies about what would happen in a world in which Roe v. Wade is overturned. There are people right now who believe that it will ban abortion. That, of course, is not the case. But if you keep telling them that, if you tell them that it's a fascist overtaking of our democracy, you will start to inspire some of the crazies. And unfortunately, it appears that that's what happened in this case.
Right. Jason, before we go, we're normally used to talking to you on the left coast, but you are in Washington, D.C. now. What brings you to Washington?
Yeah, I'm here to MC the American Conservation Summit. This is a group of conservatives. I'm a board member. We care about the environment. We just don't feel like pushing policy that will dismantle capitalism and really get into it for the wrong reasons. So we come together. This is the first summit they've done. And it's about encouraging folks to get into the community, support policies that make sense, invest in technologies that take on the pollution issue that we very clearly have. Global warming is real, but it's not necessarily tied to the left-wing agenda that folks like AOC are out promoting.
Interesting.
You can still eat burgers and fly in the world in which we live.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a story for another day. You know, in the news business, we're always looking for the term feeding the monster. We need story ideas. That's a great story idea. Let's have you back and talk about it.
There you go.
All right.